Hey, what's up, everybody? My name is Montez, and I want to welcome you all back to another episode of Infinite Grace TV, The Journey. If you're new to this channel, I create content for those who desire to unpack their stories, heal their wounds, and learn what it means to be whole. It's because I believe that everybody deserves wholeness. And I believe that only before the cross of Christ can one come fully broken, fully shattered, receive his infinite grace, and stand fully pieced together. So if you're new to this channel, please do me a favor and support the channel by subscribing and turning on the bell notification so you're notified when I release another episode. Without further ado, let's hop into today's episode. So I've really missed you guys, and I just want to give you a quick update, real quick update. I mean, something's different. I mean, it's pretty obvious. Your boy got married. So in my last episode, my then fiance and I shared our story and how God redeemed our story and how God was working through all the mess that we went through. And now we're married. And so that happened in the beyond with new jobs, new house. I made my own podcast studio and it's pretty dope, if I can say so myself. Just a lot of transition. I've had to take a step back from a lot of content creation and just focus on what was important. With what was important was building the infrastructure of Infinite Grace. As you know, Infinite Grace started about 4 years ago with just a podcast. And I realized, oh crap, Infinite Grace is more than just a podcast. It's more than just shirts. Infinite Grace is genuinely a community. Like I really desire to help people unpack their stories and learn what it means to be whole. And so through that, I'm building the infrastructure of Infinite Grace. There's multiple different phases of Infinite Grace, and I'm super excited about what the Lord is doing and the vision he's given me and the people he's bringing alongside of me to help me bring that vision about. But with that being said, man, I thank y'all for sticking with me. I have a lot more content and a lot more stuff coming. So stay tuned for that. But today I want to do something that I haven't done in a while. I just want to open up scripture. I just want to share a word that I believe will help you. Have you ever felt like, man, I'm in this by myself? Like I remember for me, when I was going through everything that I was going through, it just felt like I wasn't just going through this trial, but I was also just getting attacked left and right. I was in this space where I began to isolate myself because I believed the lie that I was the only one going through this. And so I've been in 1 Peter and 2 Peter for a while, on and off. And it was actually 1 Peter, specifically chapter 5, that helped me get through one of the toughest seasons of my life. And that was when I lost everything due to my sexual sin. And I was a pastor, and I lost my job. I lost my car, the house that I was staying at, the roommate and all that stuff. Like I lost everything and went through the hardest season of my life. And it was this chapter, specifically the book. But this passage took me through some hard time. So being real brief, I just want to give small context because context is very, very important. And I don't want to just skip over the context and just give this word right and it's out of context. So Peter is writing to believers that are scattered in different provinces. And some of the provinces, according to chapter 1, it says Pontus, Galatia, Cappadocia, Asia, and Bithynia. And essentially, he's writing to these believers because they're experiencing great persecution under the perceived rule of Nero. Many scholars believe it's different people, but I believe it was Nero after doing some research. Essentially, he desired to tear down the city and rebuild it in his own image. And he needed somewhere to shift the blame, so he blamed it on Christians because they were cannibals, right? AKA communion. You know what I'm saying? And so he put a hit out on all Christians. And what they begin to do is they begin to persecute the Christians in these provinces. And so they were being hung as street lamps to light up the street. They were being burned at stake to bring entertainment. They were being enslaved and all of these different things. And so he's writing to these believers, and he literally says to them, right, that there's a wonderful joy ahead, even though you must endure many trials for a little while. These trials will show that your faith is genuine. It is being tested as fire tests and purifies gold, though your faith is far more precious than mere gold. So when your faith remains strong through many trials, it will bring you much praise and glory and honor on the day when Jesus Christ is revealed to the whole world. So essentially, he's writing to these believers, encouraging them. He's encouraging them some hard things, and I don't got time for that tonight, because it's some stuff that he's encouraging them to do. And I'm gonna be honest, when I read it, I was like, yeah, Lord, I don't know. But he's essentially encouraging them to remain strong in their faith. And so as I read this, as a person who was going through suffering nonetheless, I can't compare to what they were going through, but I was going through suffering. It encouraged me to know that, man, what I am enduring, what I am going through is for the testing of my faith, is so that God would purify me, is so that God would build my faith. But I have to endure some things. As Christ endured the cross, my mentor said this so beautifully. Christ had to endure the cross. You know what helped him endure the cross? Not only was it because he was obeying, right? But he saw that he gets to spend eternity with us. So him enduring the cross, he looked past the cross and saw us. And so in our suffering, we're called to lay our eyes on the joy that is ahead, to gaze where Christ is seated at the right hand of the Father, because we get the chance, we get to share in his inheritance, but we have to gaze beyond the suffering. And so real quick, getting to my points, one of the things that I struggled with in that season, and I want to encourage you, because it's easy when you're going through suffering, it's easy when you're going through things to believe that you're alone. And so I want to encourage you of something that I believe will be very, very helpful for you. There's a few things here. The first one lies in chapter 5, verse 7. It says, give all your worries and cares to God, for he cares about you. Remember, God cares about you. He doesn't leave you out here high and dry. He invites you as your Father to lay before him the cares that you have, because he cares for you. The second thing, stay alert. It's so easy to isolate, right? And I'm going somewhere. It's so easy to isolate yourself, right? And to focus only on what you got in front of you. But it says stay alert. And here's why. Watch out for your great enemy, the devil. He prowls around like a roaring lion looking for someone to devour. This is real, y'all. You've seen Animal Planet, where the lionesses go out and they hunt, and they're hunting after the one that makes the mistake of separating itself from the pack or the herd. The one that isolates itself and runs off and runs away from the herd is the one they actually go after. So he's saying, yo, just like the enemy, just like a lioness, because it's the lionesses that go and hunt, right? Not necessarily the male, but just like the lion goes out and looks for the one that goes astray, stand firm and stay alert, because the enemy wants nothing more than for you to believe that you're in this by yourself. He wants nothing more than for you to believe, oh, I'm isolated. It's just me. God doesn't care about me. And he wants you to separate yourself from community. Community is part reason why I'm still here today. Community is actually what he talks about in the next few verses. He says, stand firm against him and be strong in your faith. Remember that your family of believers all over the world is going through the same kind of suffering you are. He says, remember, you got a community of people who are also going through suffering. Now, granted, again, in context, right? He's reminding the people who are going through suffering in these different provinces. But when I applied that to me, I'm like, man, I have a lot of brothers and sisters who have been through some stuff, and I need to lock arm with them because I need to stay in the fold. Because if I separate myself, I'm done up. The enemy, he's right there knocking. Knock, knock, knock. Hey, Tez, you want to come out and play? Like, I have to remind myself, man, I am not alone in this, because it's so easy, especially when depression hits, especially when anxiety hits, which are lies. It is so easy to think, oh, it's just me. It's just me that's struggling with this. It's just me that's going through this. And because you believe that lie, it's easy to say, since it's just me that's going through this, I don't want to be a burden to anybody else. So you isolate yourself, and that's exactly what the enemy wants. Verse 10, here's the encouragement. In his kindness, God called you to share in his eternal glory by means of Christ Jesus. So after you have suffered a little while, he will restore, support, and strengthen you. He will place you on a firm foundation. All power to him forever. Amen. This is the encouragement. There's a song that says, trouble won't last always. I'm so glad trouble won't last always. He may not come when you want him, but he's on time. That's that song right there. That is good for my soul, because it reminds me, right, that, hey, even though I'm going to suffer, this is the byproduct of the fall, suffering, right? Even though I may go through this test, this trial, and it may hurt, and it may suck, I know that he will restore, support, and strengthen me. And he will place me on the firm foundation. I know that I got a wonderful joy laying ahead. And so I wanted to just encourage you, brother and sister, that you're not alone. That's number one. You have a God that cares for you, and there is a great joy that lies ahead. I hope this helps you. I appreciate you for tuning into this episode of Infinite Grace TV. It's super short, but I'm thankful that you decided to tune in and spend some time with me. You know what I'm saying? So looking forward to talking with y'all soon. Again, my name is Tez, and I'm back out quiet.